Arthur, level with me real quick, dog. You didn't actually absorb chaos, did you? You didn't actually, right? Because there's no way yo dumb bubblegum built like a discount Eisen looking behind needs to steal pieces of the actual Earth to make another. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Strawbones, Redwolf4765, and Midnight Gemlord. Now, before we get into this breakdown / review of Chapter 84 of Fortnights of the Please, if you leave your own notes on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month. It contains exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into the review. What's up, guys? I'm the Pencil Union. Here we are to do a review and breakdown of Chapter 84 of Fortnights of the which is known as The Changing of an Age, aka, like, the more and more I learn about Arthur, the less and less respect I have for him, dog. What's happening? But enough of that, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we do get to see everybody's a little bit, they're a little geek, you know what I'm saying? They're a little geek, because obviously when half of our cast's whole goal, if not like 75% of our cast's whole goal, has been to either A, slaughter somebody, or B, become a holy knight, and the holy knight goal was just achieved, obviously that's kind of heat, that's kind of crazy, that's kind of wild, if you will. And everyone, especially Donny, is like, whew, whew, oh, your boy's a holy knight. I'm about to give me some holy. Let me stop. But regardless, Donny, he a bit hyped up. And reasonably, I can't blame homeboy. Obviously, he's been repping the Holy Knight gang since, like, we met him. And I know, he did try to rob what looked like a 5-year-old, but, like, haven't we all? Like, I couldn't even say that with a straight face. But haven't we all, just a little bit of theft. But regardless, we do get to see that Percy, who I just thought about it, unless I'm mistaken, bro is in a holy knight. Like, he's one of the 4 knights, obviously, so he doesn't necessarily need the designation. But, like, I think everyone else got knighted but him. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, bro is not an official holy knight of Leonis. He's just that guy. And, like, who knows? Maybe that guy designation is more important. But, like, once you get knighted, don't you get benefits? Like, insurance, workers' comp, a paycheck? Like, Percy, you're doing this all for free, man. And I know, you get probably a free place to stay and stuff like that. But come on, dog. Think about your future. Think about the bread you're going to be missing out of as you risk your life. But regardless of that, it is cool to see Percy so happy that all of his friends are the coolest cats to ever cool cat. And they're all going to be sticking with him. And me, once again, I may have downplayed it in the last review because I was trying to keep it short and sweet. But, like, y'all don't realize how skeptical, like, it's not that I'm skeptical. Someone's going to die. Like, let me be real. Someone's going to have to die. And I'm not sure who is going to, my money still is on nasiens. That's a crazy thing. Like, nasiens is he just straight up my face? That's the thing. Lance and Pelgard are just too good with it. Like, Lance and Pelgard as new additions to the cast. Like, Nasien's still one of my favorite characters that has been introduced in this new series. Alright? But once again, I mentioned this before, and why I feel like he may die, if anyone's going to die for character development, is one, he has no connections to anybody. Like, nobody. And while Nakaba could use that as an interesting plot device in order to determine, like, more about Nasien's past and why we can find out more about him and his lineage, which could be very interesting, especially considering he has such an interesting magic that even Hendrickson notes to respect. It's like, wow, that's amazing. That's cool. That seems like a fairy-related magic, but you're a human. Like, there's obviously stuff around that. There could be a whole story arc around that. But he also could be related to nobody because he can just die. And no one would care except for Percival and Ordo. And we're never seeing Ordo again. And we're never seeing Dolores again. So no one would care. Meanwhile, Donnie's tied into Gilthunder and Hauser, to not the most important of characters, but, like, I'd say secondary or tertiary characters from the previous narrative, which already makes Donnie more important. And Anne is Percival's love interest. And I don't know. I wouldn't say I know Nakaba beat for beat. The man's definitely broken my ankles many a time before. He's broken my ankles literally last chapter. So, on multiple fronts, by the way. Like, Elizabeth being fine, or at least from what that seems. And also, everything else with keeping our cast relevant. Ankles snapped, literally bleeding. I need new ones. But regardless, Anne is the love interest, and I have high doubts in my heart that she's just gonna, I don't know. Call me a skeptic. You can call me a skeptic if you want for believing that Nakaba doesn't have the gall, the nerve, but I raise a hand to you and tell me how many mangaka would have the gall and the nerve. And the Chainsaw Man fans, put your hands down. And also, you gosh darn JJK fans, that doesn't count. So put your hands down too, regardless. But the thing is, with that being the case, it's kind of like, honestly, he's too good to go. And like, I'm not saying that these guys don't have value outside of character development, but the series, as many people have pointed out, even in my previous polls, talking about like the chances of our cast sticking around, them going, stuff like that. The series is called Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Right now, at this point, if we continue the way we are, we have 10, count them, 10 main characters. That's more than the previous series. And I raise a hand to you to ask you, how much of a main character was Merlin really in the last series? Escanor didn't even show up until over 100 chapters in. Sure, he became the best character in the entire show. But still, regardless, how much of a main character was Gunther really? Okay, he was a pretty decent main character. But Diane, King. Like, if you had to ask me, someone's gotta go. Like, I don't think Nakaba's gonna support 10 main characters. Or even, like, 4 main characters and 6 sub-main characters. I don't know. Someone's gonna get got. If it was Chion, I'd laugh my head off. If it was Jade, I would not care one iota. If it was Isolde, I'd be indifferent. If it was Nasiens, you'd hear me cry a river, and I may fly over myself. If it was Donny, I'd milli rock on any block. And then if it was Anne, I would also milli rock on any block. So, like, I'm just concerned for Nasiens, alright? Long story short, I'm concerned for Nasiens. But speaking of Nasiens, I'm on the first panel. But with that being the case, speaking of Nasiens, he's like, Nani, that's just gonna... I'm a holy knight? This would be on anything I intended or imagined I'd be. And like, Nasiens, bro, have some self-confidence, bro. Like, that actually made me sad reading Bro really thought, like, man, I'm so fodder. I will never do anything with my life except be a doctor. And, like, not saying that's a bad thing. Like, every single doctor out there. That's the thing about... Here's the thing. I'm not sure if... My fellow content creators probably think about this from time to time, too. But I actually wonder, like, what is the broad spectrum of people who listen to my reviews and watch me? Like, do I have doctors in the comment section and in the audience? Like... I don't mean to insult your profession at all. If you are a doctor or are planning to be, it is an amazing profession. You do amazing work. But like, and that's the thing. Like, Nasiens devaluing himself and saying being a doctor is bad is weird. I don't get it. Like, dude, that's amazing. But things you wonder about from time to time. However, I hope Nasiens gets more confidence. If he's gonna get got, I hope he gets more confidence before he gets got. And speaking of a lack of confidence, if you will. And, oh wait, one thing I do have to mention. I love how. See, Nakaba is so good with little background character stuff, or even just background stuff in general. Like, you always gotta look a little bit closer at panels with Nakaba than you would do with most other artists, I'd say. Just because Nakaba, he's very much for, like, those tiny, minuscule drawings, and if you're just reading the text, trying to blaze through the chapter, you will miss. And I love how when Nasiens is having his shock over being a holy knight, Donny and Percival are in the background doing their little happy dance. Like, oh, I love those two. And we see that, speaking of some confidence issues, Anne is like, yeah, I'm a holy knight. Yeah, it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. Seems a little bit shady, but we'll address that. And we see that Meliodas is like, hey, let me level with you real quick. Y'all bodied holy knights, like straight body bat. Like Lance literally showed me the Carfax. You are probably more worthy of a holy knight, at least feat wise, than like the actual holy knights have appointed previously. Jade. So you guys are fine. You can just support Percival like you always have. And I think that is nice. Like Meliodas is kind enough to know that, like, yo, this is some sort of squad. They may have known each other for like less than a week. But it's still crazy to think. I will never let that go until we get a time skip. Once we get a time skip, I think I'll shut up about it. But I will not let this go. This whole series is no more than a week long, and we've been here for a year and a half. But more than a year and a half, I think. I think it's going on 2 years. Man, time is flying. But regardless, with that being the case, he names them the Percival platoon. And like, we call them Percy Squad, but the Percival platoon is kind of fire. The PP, Percival got the PP. Stop. I gotta stop making certain jokes. The thing is, like, they're alley-oop jokes that they naturally flow out, but like, I have to grab myself and be like, wait a minute. Ooh, like, we can't do that one. But with that being the case, Meliodas is like, hey, yo, you know, now that y'all holy knights, y'all got one thing y'all need to remember atop all others. All other things that you must know. Now, tell me, do any of you young individuals before my eyes happen to know the credo, the saying of the Assassin's Creed? No, I'm kidding. But do you happen to know what you need to know? And Donny and Percival, two characters who've been about this to a degree. I mean, once again, I can't get over the fact that every single character that is part of the Percy platoon in some way, shape, or form was introduced as an antagonist. Like, Lance doesn't count because he's separate, and in my opinion, he's not part of the Percy platoon. He was just there with Percy. He was the guide, essentially. But like, every member of the Percy platoon introduced themselves as an antagonist. Like, literally, go back and remember, every single one of them was introduced. Donny robbed Percival, Nasiens drugged Percival, and Anne tried to stab Percival. Like, obviously, you fight your friends in order to make them. But with that being the case, afterwards, these two characters, Donny and Percival, that have been all about saving, helping people, being the good, being the people who want to protect, even in the harshest of circumstances, against literal monsters and beasts, against men of magical power beyond their comprehension, due to their natures. Of course they know the phrase. Crush the wicked, help the weak, and be someone who protects what you love with your life. I like that. I'm happy for these two characters. These two, chef's kiss. I love it. Nice work, Knock, but nice character work. And I love these two. Like, it's weird, you know, I keep coming back to like the sibling dynamic, but it'd be like this sometimes. Donny and Percival, brothers, hands down. Nasiens, the worried older brother, and the mom friend. Lance, the dad friend. Tristan, the cool uncle. Chion, the cousin no one likes. Isolde, the other cousin no one likes. And Jade, the guy who never gets invited. But, you know, one day Jade's going to come back and get me for this. But still, with that being the case, we see Nasiens is like, hey, Nasiens of the Percival platoon finna make me act up. But, I'm sorry. See, like, I know a lot of y'all have to watch me with headphones because you just can't have faith. Like, I can't like, I don't do anything too bad, I don't think, but like, I don't want my own family watching my review. The pencil fam does not need to see what I talk about. But regardless, with that being the case, we do get to see that Nasiens, being the most emotionally aware of the group, being honest, he notices something up with Anne and Galahad, and he's like, what's wrong? Like, something popping? Like, do you want to be the Anne squad or something like that? The Anne army? The Anne Galahad something? Like, what's going on with you? And Anne is questioned, like, yo, like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I know you and the tall guy over there's whole goal, like, your whole dream, your whole ambition was to become a holy knight. So why you, what's got you down and out? Like, what's popping? What's Gucci? And we see that Anne almost got hit with Mjolnir. Like straight up, hands down, I would have thrown a hammer at her. But we see she says, oh wait, no, I gave Isolde like the deep Batman voice. Darn it. But Anne is like, Your Majesty. Oh, yeah, what's up, Anne? I refuse to be a holy knight. And I'm not going to lie. In the live reaction, you can check out on my Patreon for as low as $1 a month. I may have gotten a little bit nettled, a little bit annoyed, because I'm like, come on now. If you want to leave the series, just say that. But regardless, she says this, and obviously, me Donny, and Percival, we on the same wavelength for real, because we all went why. We all went like, what in the name of like what like the math wasn't mathing. All right, let's be real. The math simply was not mathing. The calculations were not calculating. Like I was running statistics in my brain, and like in the moment, like my brain was crashing. Like nothing was adding up. It was like trying to do multiplication, division, divided by multiplication, added to like nothing was making sense. And with that being the case, and like I feel like this is me speaking through Anne, but like in a self-degradatory way. I don't know, because Anne literally goes on to say something I've been talking about for a while. I'm truly honored you would appoint me as one, but I don't have any strength like Percival, or any magical power that could be useful for battle like Donny and Nasiens. I'm sure that I'll just hold everyone back from now on. And like, I ain't gonna lie to you, beyond a shadow of a... Go back and listen to every single time I've talked about Anne, and like a longevity standpoint. Straight up. Like, every single time I've mentioned Anne, it's like, her magic is not that good. Like straight up, on a combat front, her magic is booty. Like, she can't keep up with poison mixture. She can't keep up with whatever Donnie's magic is called. We don't know what it is. But telekinesis, can't keep up with that. Can't keep up with Percival. Can't keep up with him. And if you're forgetting, remember, Lance is him, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So get your memory up. But can't keep up with Tristan. The only person she can keep up with and beat is Jade, because Jade sucks. I'm not kidding. But regardless, with that being the case, I'm kind of shocked. Like, and people say authors don't power scale. Obviously, he knew. He set up Anne for failure. And that's crazy. Like, I'll give Nagaba this. Like, I would never think a character in the narrative would analyze themselves on a level like that. Like, outside of, like, maybe, like, characters do it occasionally in Seven Deadly Sins. Like, Meliodas was like, oh yeah, if we were to fight the commandments right now, we literally all perish. We need to get Escanor, and I need my gains back. So, like, it's not unlikely. It's not impossible. And then obviously you had the whole, like, people comparing themselves to the two deities previously, the Supreme Deity and the Demon King. They're like, well, they're an entirely different tier. They're just different. But simply analyzing themselves on a longevity standpoint and like, oh yeah, in the long run, I will literally be a detriment because my magic is booty water, and everyone else has a sword of some sort. Quite literally everyone. Everyone, at least on Percy Platoon, does. Like, Nasiens, Donny, and Percival all have swords. So, like, Anne really does bring nothing to the table. I'm kidding. Anne fans, calm down. But with that being the case, it's cool. It's weird to say it's cool, but it's nice. It's cool to see that characters do think on themselves, do evaluate themselves, and are considering their value relative to their teammates. Anne isn't saying this out of some sort of selfishness. In fact, if she was being selfish, she would have never even mentioned this. She would have been like, yeah, I'm a holy knight, suck my toes. And while I know some of y'all want to do that, don't. And she's being so concerned about her friends because she doesn't want to hold them back. She doesn't want to be a liability, and that's cool. I like that. It's, once again, I'm liking Anne more and more, and that's giving me hope for the entirety of the Tristan platoon. Not saying that I don't like Chion. I still do like Chion, and ISO definitely got some good character development the chapter before last. Jade is gonna be a piece of work, Nagaba. I need your finest character work on that. I need some Esterosa Mayel level stuff on Jade. I ain't kidding, because he's not been doing well. Had a weak introduction, has had a weak presence, and is overall weak. Fodder, bro. But regardless, we do get to see that Percival is like, wait a minute, baby girl, you know that ain't true. And he specifically aged 20 years, and his voice dropped 3 octaves just to say that. But with that being the case, Anne is like, well, you don't have to come for me. Don't worry. I'll just do nothing. Like, I guess, like, what if she just assumed, like, was she just gonna give up? Being real, like, I thought maybe she'd go into Holy Knight training, but I just thought about that. Unlike Donny, I can't necessarily, other than just completely changing her magic. Like, all the previous offers I've seen before, I've seen or talked about before, like her learning how to actually read minds or literally see the future and stuff like that. Like, those are kind of stretches. Like, Donnie just makes sense. Like, him going from being able to lift things to telekinesis, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm not sure how Anne would really change the fundamentals of her magical power. So, with that being the case, I'm kind of wondering what she would do. Would she go work with Hendrickson? Well, I don't know. But with that being the case, Meliodas is like, shoot, well, I don't really care. I was just trying to do this honorarily. I heard you couldn't even beat that one holy knight on your own. You needed Donnie's assistance. So, really, you are a fodder. So I'm just going to kick you out the narrative. However, we see that a certain person steps forward. And they have something to say. And they say this. Engelhat, was it? I heard about you from Sir Drathus. When everyone else was still fighting Meligalan, you, someone who's a foreigner to this nation, rushed to evacuate people to where it could be safe. And Anne is like, well, your Majesty, it's because that's all I could do. And Elizabeth goes on to say something that's extremely sweet. And I think it works especially well from her position and where she stood in the original narrative. Those who can do what others cannot are certainly wonderful, but I believe those who do what others do not try to do are even more amazing. Boring! That is a better line than Elizabeth had in all of original Seven Deadly Sins. Is that a fact? Is that a fact? I may just be spitting right there. Hold on. Let me think. Unfortunately, despite my many rereads, I do not have all of Seven Deadly Sins memorized. Still working on that, so I will assume she's had harder bars in the original series. However, this is a very, very, very solid bar. I think it works so well for Elizabeth in particular, mainly because, like, she was the only healer in the previous show. Like, even though other characters could heal and did heal, like, everyone really threw hands first and foremost and didn't necessarily care about, like, the little guy, the people who needed the healing, the people who needed the saving and protecting. Like the civilians. Everyone was more so worried about, like, oh no, I need to punch the big bad guy as hard as I can. And, like, that's fine, but obviously people need help, even if they don't want to help people. And Elizabeth was that person who always would help people. Sure, she was the Bloody Ellie at one point. Still need more backstory on that, Naga, but where's my prequel manga? But regardless of that, we still do have this person who understands where Anne was coming from, who feels that same sort of abject uselessness, that emptiness of feeling that you can't do what the others do, but still doing the things that the others wouldn't do or couldn't do or shouldn't do because of their respective abilities. And I like how Elizabeth is able to directly relate to Anne on that and show her a different path, and show her a different light to her actions and to her helplessness in that scenario, and really give her a reason to believe in herself and respect her own ability. I love that. And we see that Anne takes that in with, like, shock, awe, respect, and it's like, wow, Lady Elizabeth, you really spit. That was a whole bar right there. And we see that Percival's obviously supporting his woman. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. Percival still looks 5, but with that, he's still like, yeah, I think that too. So obviously, he's gonna support her. Meanwhile, Donnie, gosh darn it, Donnie, just support her as well. But he's like, man, I want to be praised too. And like, dude, nah. another joke that shall be forever within my head. I feel like the more and more I read some of y'all comments, either A, you guys are adapting to my humor, so at the time you can predict it, or B, we just happen to have the same sense of humor. So, if I was going to make a joke, but you guys probably understand it. But with that being the case, we do get to see that with the praise of the queen herself and ironically enough, now that I think about it, this even ties into how Donnie got his new magic with a different perspective put on what already exists. It gives you a new view and new hope and a new way to use yourself or your magic. Lancelot was the one who helped Donnie realize that his lifting stuff was more so telekinesis, and Anne is the one who, with help from Elizabeth, realized that her role as a helper on the side is just as important as a frontline fighter. I love that. I like that. Little things, I swear. Nakaba, he's good with it. You can't sleep on him. I swear. And we do get to see that Percival is so amazed, so happy. He's going to have to do his happy dance. And, like, the idea, I don't know. The idea that Percival, of all people, has a pre-choreographed happy dance both makes absolute sense and makes no sense at all, and I love it. I love it on both fronts. And with that being the case, we see Anna's like, like now the hype's getting to her. Obviously, she's like, I'm a holy knight, and I'm gonna say, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go flex on my father real quick. And we see that Donnie's like, all right, like we see y'all are endgame. Go ahead. Just tie the knot and get it over with. We know what the end of the series is looking like. And Nasiens is like, yo, don't just y'all chill. Show some decency. Calm down. You demons. All three of you monsters, you beasts. Let me not. But still, that being the case, we do get to see that Meliodas was genuinely just gonna let her not do it. and I guess it makes sense. Meliodas is like, well, shoot, I probably don't want these kids to go risk their lives anyway, but I know they would want to, so I'll let them. So he gave her the avenue, the in or the out, and he got her in through the help of Elizabeth. And he even thanks his wife for that. And we see that she just says, oh, there was nothing. And I think that's nice. I think that's sweet. Once again, I 100%, I say this above all else. The weakest part of Seven Deadly Sins, for the most part, I say some things about its romance are good, but it is its romance. I do 100% believe that is its weakest aspect. Once again, I do think it is an actual, whole-on, legitimate crime that we did not have, like, one flashback arc that was actually based around Meliodas and Elizabeth falling in love. Like, seriously, we could not get that. We have, like, 3 panels of it total. We have their meeting panel, their kissing panel, and everything else afterwards. But we have nothing else. So, I really don't do that sometimes. However, this is the after effect of it. I'll take what I can get. And with this being the case, we do get to see that the squad needs to check in one more time. And they say, all right, let's get it. The Percival platoon is formed. And we see that little Percy asks, is it okay if I'm the leader? And they're like, dude, it's literally named for you. Obviously, you're going to be the leader. And with that, they put their hands together and say, Percival platoon, go! Nasiens is so going to die, bruh. Nasiens is going to die, bro. Someone's dying for character development, dog. Someone's dying for character development. And, like, the thing is, we have so many main characters, or at least secondary main characters alongside our main 4. There's so many sacrifices that can be made. Like, we lost Escanor, dog. We seriously lost. I'm still banking on Chaos Escanor, by the way. I 100% think Chaos Escanor is a thing, and that's Gawain's grandpa that she keeps mentioning. And I 100% believe Meliodas is going to encounter him and going to be forced to attack him. But regardless, with that being the case, it's like, dog, there's so many people who could die for character development. And, like, the thing is, I can even see the character development happening. That Despair Percy arc is going to go wild. The internal demon Tristan arc is going to go crazy. Lance, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's tied to Nasiens. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what arc Lance is going to go down. Other than, like, it's interesting. Gawain, too. She's not really... She didn't. Someone's going to have to slaughter Chaos Escanor in front of her. Regardless, with that being the case, we do get to see they're all ready and happy to go. And we see Meliodas is like, all right, that's great. You know, that's neat. That's cute. But, you know, let's go. People are waiting. I had to do this just ceremoniously. And currently, we have someone else running your paychecks up. Except for you, Percival. You're going to stay broke forever. Because, jeez, I know I'm going to pay you way too much. Let's go. And we see that everyone's like, wait a minute, Meliodas, you seem like a cool cat and all, dog, but where are we going? And Meliodas is like, oh, so not nowhere crazy. The war room, where we discuss battle. And we see that Meliodas is like, oh yeah, didn't you remember yesterday? You know, where half the series took place? Yeah, I'd explain everything. And I will explain everything right now. However, we have to make sure that everyone's here. Meliodas opens up the door and is like, hey, sorry to keep you all waiting. And if it's about any appointments you're worried about, I took care of them all. And now, everyone is here. And I ain't gonna lie to you. This is a fire. Does this count as a spread? I think it counts as a spread, even though it's not taking up the whole page. It's a really, really good shot. And I love all the characters here, except for Jade, because no one likes Jade. Man, he's even in a stupid position. Like, where does this animosity come? I'm not sure. There's a jade stone, a jade dragon must have done something to me in the past life or something. I don't know why I have this deep, unforgivable, seething vendetta against this character who's done absolutely nothing. That may be it. He's just done absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's it. But with that being the case, we see Lance, Tristan, Gawain, if you look hard enough, Isolde, Chion, and Jade. And they're all doing their own little respective thing. We see Lancelot's like, hey, hurry up. Come a squat right next to me. You know how it is. We gotta have 2 knights on one side and their squad. And you guys are my knight and my squad. Let's go. And we see that Tristan, being the cool cat he is like, oh, hello everyone. Did you sleep well last night? And he's all excited to see his new allies, really. Like, this is gonna be the ride or die cast for a hot minute now. I'm still, once again, the longevity of this series is very interesting to me. I don't know. It's interesting to me mainly because, like, the previous series went on for a while because the world was so deep in stewed in mystery. Like, we didn't know what Meliodas was for the most part. We didn't even have by the time season 1 ended, we didn't even have the titular group yet. Yeah, like the 7 deadly sins, that wasn't formed by the end of season 1. There was clear, thorough, juicy mystery to go on from that point. And that explains the rest of the series. Meanwhile, like, I think we're at an end of season 1 point. I'm not sure how many episodes the first season of the anime is going to be. It is already announced, but I'm not sure. If it's 24 episodes, maybe it'd be a bit of a stretch. I still need to make that video where I plot out a hypothetical season 1. But with that being the case, like, we already have all 4 knights. We already have our big bad. Our big bad has already shown up. And unless something new gets introduced, I don't really see how. I guess you could stall with more chaos creations. Like, I still 100% believe the chaotic supreme deity and the chaotic demon king are going to be things. And we may have, like, the supreme twilight king or something like that. Or, like, the chaotic supreme king. Like, the two are going to fuse, and that'll be, like, the ultimate test and culmination of our cast right before the final boss. But with that being the case, I'm really wondering how long the series is going to go. However, that's super sidetracked. We see Isolde is like, oh, Anne, wonderful. And we know those two had their nice little bonding moment talking about and explaining that Isolde is still... Let me stop. And with that being the case, we do get to see that Jade is like, ugh, what the heck? They're all in their pajamas. For shame. Like, Jade, you have... Like, I'm trying to find the best set of words for this. You as an individual have so little narrative value that I could literally erase you from this page, erase you from the narrative, erase you from everything. Nothing would change. These individuals that have walked in within their pajamas have done more than you ever have and likely will do more than you ever will. So shut your mouth. I'm sorry. Then we get to see Chion is like, oh joy, the weakest holy knights have arrived. Yay. And like, Chion, let me level with you real quick, dog. One, what you got in your hands, my boy? What you got in your hands? And 2, dude, you literally almost got body bagged by one of them yesterday. Admittedly, I do think out of the main platoon, like, not Donny on a base level is the strongest. Just his magic is the best for combat. And so maybe, but still, Chion, enough prep time. I don't see you beating nasiens. We know you can't beat Donny. Donny literally mopped you casually and only let you go peacefully because his uncle showed up, because your dad showed up. I'm sure those two don't know each other. Now that I think that's weird. I mean, I guess once again, Hauser's sister is a thing that I didn't know existed, and I don't think Nakaba knew existed either. So maybe it makes sense that they don't know each other, but still. And we get to see Gawain. I'm shocked Gawain is so quiet, though. Like, she is just posted up on Isolde's lap right now, which makes her even shorter. Like, I get the joke. Like, the fact is, you're not really supposed to notice Gawain in this first look, and you're supposed to look back through the chapter to see, like, wait, is she really there? But I even noticed her on my first read-through. You can check that out in the live reaction on the Patreon for as low as $1 a month. But with that being the case, we like if Isolde's height is to be believed, I believe she's supposed to be like 6 foot. Gawain, unless she's like slid down on Isolde's lap, is like a solid foot tall. Like she's literally not even past Isolde's waist. She's at Isolde's waist. That's crazy. And we see that despite all the chaos in the room, you know, Lancelot telling them to sit down, Percival asking how their night was, all the people getting called for and teased by the Percy platoon, or no, the Tristan platoon. All that Percival cares about as he cops a squat right next to Lancelot, which I do love, is that, hey, did you guys eat breakfast already? And Percival, just like me, FR, because that's my main concern too. All about the breakfast. But with that, we do get to see Lance is like, really? That was the first thing you have to say. And I love how the SFX is like literally stomach growling. Percy has his priorities, and he just like me, FR. But with that being the case, we get to see that apparently the answer is yes. Meliodas says, yep, now we're all here. So looks like breakfast was missed. And we do get to see that Percival's like, you know, I feel like we're missing a certain tall, beefy, powerful, and rather engorged individual that happens to be associated with the big burning ball of gas in the sky, millions and millions of miles away. Where's Gawain? And we see that she's apparently already there. And like, question, why is she still small? Like, I'm not, once again, maybe Sunshine is just mutated, like legitimately hard stop mutated. Like, the only difference between Sun and Sunshine is the name, being realistically. Like, Mael the Sun was just called Sun, and Escanor named it Sunshine because he just didn't know. Like, I'm pretty sure if Mael told him at birth, like, what his magic was, he wouldn't call it Sunshine, he'd just call it Sun. And to be fair, the only reason Escanor mutates is because he's a human, and it wasn't built for him. It's just the Grace was like, I'm gonna take your life force, boy. And it did. Like, is this part of the limiter thing that's set up with Gawain? Like, does she have to activate big mode? Like, does she have to always be angry or something? Like, I'm wondering why she's so tiny still. And the thing is, I can't even necessarily blame it on her not having Sunshine activated, because one, it's morning, obviously, and two, she uses Sunshine, or at least what I assume to be, because we see she's posted up on Isolde's lap, and she apparently was the first one to arrive, and we see she's so tiny, she's so adorable. Like, it is weird to think that this Gawain probably still solos the verse, but no, I mean, not the verse, but at least season 1, just based on her abilities. But with that being the case, it's also interesting to see that she's still about the business. She's like, oh, now that everyone's here and we have an audience, excuse me, miss, how about we continue our talk about love from yesterday? You know, I'm trying to get in where I fit in. And Gawain, you literally fit in like a burlap sack. Like, I straight could throw, like, Gawain is at the size where I could throw her in a backpack. Sure, she would absolutely annihilate said backpack. But seriously, she's unbelievably, like, she's smaller than Percival. Percival's 4'11". How? Like, and she is 16. Like, this is like, is this the inverse effect? Like, instead of Escanor having a consistent cycle where he's at night just a small regular dude, and then in the daytime this big muscular Chad beefcake, instead does Gawain have a, like, no. So Escanor's biggest thing was that his life was shortened because of the issues with Sunshine. Was Gawain's growth just stunted? Because I don't know. I don't think. I mean, maybe she's just made to be small. Like, I guess that can happen too. But like, stunted growth is maybe the trade-off for Gawain this time. Instead of a shortened lifespan, maybe she can live the full years, but she's always gonna be small. I don't know. With that being the case, we see that Isolde's like, is this some baby really the Night of Prophecy? And Gawain's like, no, you've forgotten about me, haven't you? And like, I'm not sure, right? I'm trying to think, who is someone like, I have a friend He is 6'8", 320 pounds of pure muscle. I've known him for a while now, like solid 3 years or so. If he were to show up the next day, like literally 2 feet, 20 pounds is too low. 2 feet, 50 pounds, and talking normally, I may be able to recognize him, but I would be very, very confused. Even in a world of magic, I'd be like, that's pretty drastic of a change. But with that being the case, we get to see that Chion, like, bro, it is not worth it. Like, I don't get it, dude. You know you're fodder. Like, this isn't even a case of I may be fodder, I could be fodder. Dude, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond all reason on this good green earth, you are the fodder. Why are you provoking these people? Like, like legitimately. I still can't imagine what would have happened to Chion if not Jade, but if Gawain was actually in her armor. Can you imagine? Bro would have been dead. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Just based on how Gawain was acting yesterday, by the way. She was acting towards Percival, someone who she was just fighting alongside and was literally nearly getting kidnapped by, or was watched to get kidnapped. She would have absolutely annihilated Chion. Like, Chion would be a burnt speck on the ground. And we see he tries to shoo her away. Like, shoo, go away. Why don't you run home, kid? And I'll admit, I do love Gawain. She's like, you insolent beast, and immediately lights the back of his hair on fire. Once again, she does have access to sunshine, even in this tiny form. And, like, I don't think Escanor did. Like, there were very specific circumstances where he could mimic the effects of sunshine, like when he would absorb Rita's energy at night to fake a sunshine usage, even though that wasn't it. And when Gilthunder tricked Sunshine into, like, releasing magic because he made an artificial sun relative to Escanor's position that allowed him to use it for like 3 seconds. But outside of that, no sunshine usage ever happened at night, or when Escanor was in small Scanor form voluntarily. So I don't know how she's doing this. Maybe that's just a regular fire spell and that's not actually sunshine. But the fact that she just points and lights his hair on fire makes me think it's sunshine. And we do get to see that Chion does not appreciate his just desserts. It's like, oh no, it's hot. What did I do? It's almost like I keep insulting these impervious, unbelievable, imperviously powerful individuals that would definitely do me extreme harm if I were to ever provoke them. Woe is me, woe is me. Like, I like Chion, but he's stupid. He's like, oh my word. Chion is Seven Deadly Smuck's Gilthunder. He's an idiot. No wonder. Dog, it's all coming together. Nakaba's a fan. Nakaba's a fan of Seven Deadly Smucks. I just thought about that because this is exactly what Seven Deadly Smuck's Gilthunder would do. He would be this dumb to keep provoking the powerful beings around him. Now, you got to think, Chion has had a horrible track record. Like, maybe Tristan, he respects Tristan because Tristan's strong, but he sees Tristan, dangerous being. He sees Percival, gets his arm slurped out of him, and then he sees Gawain, this next night of prophecy, and gets his hair lit on fire. Like, what is he going to do to Lancelot? And what's Lancelot going to do to him? Then we get to see that Jade does help Chion put his hair out, and now Chion's hair is much, much shorter. Now he actually more so looks like his father. Once again, don't know where he got the dark hair from, phenotypically. Like, maybe it's just dyed. That is something that someone brought up in the comments. It's 100% likely possibility that his hair is just dyed. But, interesting. I don't know. I can't think of anyone else's hair being just dyed normally. I know people changed their hair, like Gilthunder did, but that was magically. He's a puppet. And I think Vivian did, but she literally transformed herself. So I'm wondering why Chion has dark hair. And we get to see that Gawain, she may have multiple interests. Because if I still don't remember her, she ain't gonna make that as remember her. And we see that, oh wait, never mind, that's different. Because the person who put out Chion's magic wasn't, not Chion's magic, the person who put out Gawain's magic wasn't actually Gawain. It was actually Thetis. And we see that she's like, it is way too early in the morning, so please shut up. And we see Meliodas introduces her and is like, hey, this is Thetis. She's Elizabeth's personal magician and the best there is in Leonis. Once again, very interesting that Darieres reincarnate became a magician. I'm not sure if that's just like a natural thing, like you become the opposite of what you were in your previous life, because I would not call Darieres from the previous series a magician in any sense of the word. Like, she had magic. That's as far as the magician thing went. Though it is very interesting to see how she does mirror her previous life in a way, because as she says, now then, my lord, let's get started already. And Meliodas goes, yes, ma'am. And the ironic thing is, in her previous life, 3,000 years ago, who did she serve as her lord? It was Meliodas. When she was a subordinate to him, when he was the leader of the Ten Commandments and Prince of the Demon World. Some things never change, even if you reincarnate. And that's the thing. I wonder if there's like, I doubt there's any lingering animosity, really. Like, I think she pretty much resolved all her issues with Meliodas the moment she found out Monspeet loved her. Like, I think she was like, I get it now. So, I think she's fine for the most part on that. But, like, I wonder if they ever have conversations about that time. Like, specifically, Meliodas, her, and Elizabeth, right? Because, now that I think about it, the Archangels haven't revived. And Mael isn't coming to visit every once in a while. They're the only three with memories from that time period at this point, if I'm not mistaken, right? Other than Merlin, but Merlin's obviously not on their side anymore. So, all of these people kind of only have each other. And that's if Thetis told them, oh yeah, fun fact, I'm Darieres. If Meliodas and Elizabeth couldn't immediately figure that out. Like, I think Elizabeth was literally there when she saw Mael cast a specific reincarnation spell on them. So, it's highly likely that they know, and obviously it explains a lot. But with that being the case, I wonder if they ever have conversations about that. Like, this is like, hey, remember that time 3,000 years ago? And Melissa's like, leave me be. I'm sorry. I don't know. Interesting things, I wonder. With that being the case, we see that Nasiens recognizes her as the person from the audience room earlier, but Donny recognizes that, hey, she kind of got an attitude with the king. And once again, I think that goes back to the original dynamic of 3,000 years past. At least I think so. Maybe it's my dumb, stupid headcanon. It's not maybe. It is my dumb, stupid headcanon. But we'll see. And we go on to see that Meliodas takes over. He's like, all right, first things first, thank you for coming. Thank you. I greatly appreciate the help. I appreciate the assistance. Knights of prophecy who are destined to destroy the world. Knight of famine, Gawain. Knight of war, Lancelot. Knight of pestilence, Tristan. And Knight of death, Percival. And, broski, in a similar vein to your nephew, bruh, you don't open with that. Like, you don't, like, these are the people you want the help of. And admittedly, two of them are your direct relatives. Like, I know, once again, Lance, Meliodas, not directly related. He's not literally his uncle, but I think almost everybody has that one close friend of their dad or their mom or their caretaker in general who ends up being Uncle Blank. So if anything, Meliodas is Lance's uncle. I know that uncle, I believe it was, that uncle from a couple chapters back was just a mistranslation, which is unfortunate. I wish that were canon. But still, I will always see it as that. With that being the case, I know two of the knights know pretty much all the truth, and it's really just Gawain and Percival that need to get caught up. So I get why he's opening like this, but at the same time, dude, a little more etiquette behind that. Come on now, bro. And we see that each knight has their own little reaction to their designated title. Gawain twitches at the name Famine and looks a bit angry, and I wonder if the idea of Famine has anything tying into her past. Strokes the beard. The Knight of War, Lancelot, seems pretty calm. Once again, he knows all this already, so it makes sense that he doesn't have too drastic of a reaction. Tristan, the Knight of Pestilence, actually looks a little bit contemplative. I don't know how to explain it with the eyes closed, the seemingly downtrodden face. Like, I'm not exactly sure. It's mostly neutral, but I'd say it's leaning towards like darker neutral rather than lighter neutral. And then Percival, he looks like he's about to start crying at his designation, the Knight of Death. And obviously, this is something that's weird to me. Like, all three of them ask, and by all three of them I mean Donny, Nasiens, and Anne ask, like, Percival's the Knight of parentheses, death, close parentheses. And Donny, once again, need I remind you, the series is less than a week long in your time. You were there when Lance, as Sin, told you this. This is not new news. This is not shock horror. Dude, you know that. Unless you forgot. But I feel like you shouldn't forget something like that easily, unless you're just going to forget it again. But obviously it's just to keep the whole group questioning him. And we see that Gawain, in all her majesty, is like, I object! I refuse to destroy the world. And Percival also objects with her. Once again, another sibling dynamic that I'm super excited to see get more thoroughly explored as time passes. As he says, so do I. We don't want to be the ones to destroy the world. And Gawain is like, come on now. For once, this imbecile is spitting. These imbeciles. Miss Porter. Go check out, if you like Kingdom Hearts and you somehow found me but didn't find him, go check out Regular Pat. Amazing dude. But with that, he's like, indeed, you don't expect me and this imbecile to do something like that. Destroy the world. And Meliodas just grins and is like, oh no. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're going to destroy it, all right. But it's the world of Camelot created by King Arthur. It's not the actual world. And that is something I've been discussing for a while. Like, I never necessarily thought they were actually going to annihilate the planet. I did think it was just going to be Camelot, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. I wonder if the Camelot people know this and they're just spreading propaganda when they say the knights are going to destroy the entire world, or if Arthur specifically left that part out to truly properly motivate them. I don't know. With that being the case, we see that Percival's like, oh, well, if it's that guy's world, that's light. Of course I'll destroy it. I'll be the Knight of Death for that. And with that being the case, we see Gawain. Gawain reminds me of Arthur from Fire Force. Much more intelligent, generally. Don't get me wrong. But just the way that she's like, oh, I thought that was the case from the very start. Clearly you didn't. And Bruce was like, no fair. How dare you change your answer before me? And once again, love these two in their dynamic. Honestly, like, if things do go dark at one point in this series, I'm very interested to see how all these like lighthearted dynamics change. Like, if someone ends up getting caught, or if someone ends up like changing drastically, like, or even say nothing really changes, these guys just get older. I'm very interested to see where these dynamics go. And we do get to see that with this new context of the knights being the destruction, the death, the chaos, the warriors against Camelot, Nasien's like, wait a minute, so the knights aren't really destroyers, they're knights who will save Britannia. And that is indeed true. And Percival's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. If that's the case, why am I called the Knight of Death? Like, I mean, pestilence sucks, don't get me wrong about war, and obviously famine's pretty bad, but death? And we see that Meliodas is like, love wants you real quick, dog. It's just what they call you. Like, that's all they have for you. Really? You're going to be the ones that are going to bring hope to Britannia. They just think you're the Knight of Death. Ironically enough, you do have a side to your magic that's all about death, but hopefully you use that on them and not us. And we see that Meliodas says this with a smile, and Percival's like, you know, I wish you told me that from the start, Lancelot. And this may be my favorite Lancelot panel in the series. I don't know. He's like, wait, didn't I? He has this stupid grin on his face. He's like, like, you can tell he may not like it, but he is so much like his father. the trickster, the guy who loves to mess around. Like, he is literally his father with more of his mother's serious side in it. That's literally all I see, and I love it. And with that, we see that Anne is like, well, don't get me wrong. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt we've been fighting Camelot's forces, and they literally just appeared in the sky the other day, so this is a really stupid question to be asking, so Camelot has to exist in one way, shape, or form, but I'm going to ask it anyway in order for us to progress the plot. Why are we even going to fight Camelot? I don't really see a point, because it was obviously wiped off the map 16 years ago. And we see that Thetis is like, well, that is a completely stupid question that obviously has some sort of answer to it, considering the fact that you have been fighting, running from, and going up against King Arthur and his Chaos Knights. Don't worry, I'll take over from here and explain everything. And being real with you, the old Camelot, the one that existed in this world, yeah, it doesn't do that anymore. Like, it's just straight gone. And with that being the case, like, I'm going to wait till the volume comes out. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to wait till the volume comes out. But see, the thing is, this isn't necessarily gonna. I'm gonna wait till the volume comes out, and I'm gonna see, because this could be an upscale. Maybe it really depends. It really depends, right? Because what Thetis goes on the claim is that, however, King Arthur used the power of chaos to bring forth a new Camelot within another dimension. Dimension is the big word here. Is the big no-no word. Because previously, every single time the word dimension has been used, in the official volumes, it's usually been turned to space. Like, another space. That's why you don't necessarily consistently hear me arguing like, hey, demon world, celestial realm, universe-sized realms, mainly because they operate on the same time flow as the main one. So sure, they have stars in them. That's great. There's a separate pod I mentioned that they made. Cool. But that doesn't imply their whole universes, which sucks. But if there are alternate dimensions, and they were made, because notably she specifically compares this feat to the creation of the fairy realm and the demon realm. And those are separate spaces. But if in reality those are actually dimensions, and that stays dimensions in the official volume release, we may have some consistency there, baby. Because, like, I will make a video talking about why I don't believe gas is uni. It's literally just one panel. Like, it's the stars far, far away thing. Like, he was born in the stars far, far away. If there were ancient stars far, far away, that means there was a universe before him. Sucks to suck. But with that being the case, I'm wondering, because if that's the case, the fairy tree is also uni, which would be weird to think about, right? Because if it made the fairy realm didn't exist. But the thing is, another reason this actually could be downplay and make it worse is because, no, but it says use Camelot to bring forth a new Camelot, which is to create another Camelot. So maybe there was a dimension that existed that he just made something in. Kind of like the whole, how it works in Ben 10 with like the Annihilarg of contra something film, like that thing where there are empty dimensions and you can put a universe in there. Like, maybe it's the case like that, because what Thetis doesn't say is that King Arthur brought forth a Camelot in a new dimension he made. She says he brought forth a new Camelot in another dimension, which implies he didn't make it. He just went there and made Camelot in there, which is not as impressive, unfortunately, for pretty obvious reasons. And the thing is, the reason this could end up being downplayed is because, like the fairy realm and the demon realm, if that's the case and the dimensions previously existed, that's not good. However, with that being the case, we'll discuss that another time. We do get to see that due to the fact that it is indeed another dimension, and we've seen before that it is not an easy task to just reach other realms. Like, you need specific gates and portals either made by deities or made by creatures whose entire existence is literally dealt around creating portals, or they need to have infinite magic. Like, you gotta realize, even Melascula couldn't just make a portal to the celestial realm. She had to corrupt another door to it, and Merlin needed, I think, a couple days to make a portal to the demon world. So yeah, these separate spaces are not easy to reach. And with that being the case, they don't have much info on it, which is why they had that one prisoner who was going to give them info until Lance let him. And we see that Thetis is like, yeah, loving with you real quick. We don't exactly know what we're fighting them for. However, it's because that we aren't the ones who are going to start a war. It's actually their side. And Thetis speculates that just due to the fact that she works on a magical system similar to Arthur and everyone else, she just makes the assumption that the reason they're going to start a war is for the reason that a lot of countries start wars, for resources and equipment and stuff like that. Like, you typically don't just war for nothing. And with that being the case, Thetis assumes that there's some price to pay to further construct and maintain Camelot, which once again may explain why Arthur was appearing kind of fodder when he showed up. And the thing is, I don't know why. Like, chaos, unless Arthur didn't fully absorb it or didn't fully master it or something, made the world, the planet that the verse currently exists on, with a thought. A thought. A thought. The bro simply said, it'd be cool if there was a planet here, and then there was a planet. It'd be cool if I made deities, and then there were deities. Like, bro was not fighting too hard for this. And then his kids also just made new worlds. Like, unless we get more backstory on how those things were made, according to the Lady of the Lake, they kind of just pooped those out. Like, that's all they did. They were like, it's Tuesday, world time. And bada bing, bada boom, a tree made a world. Maybe a world with the sun in it, too. Oh, I'm not sure. We haven't actually gotten a pretty good description or shot of the fairy realm. We just know it exists. But still, with that being the case, they didn't need any cost or anything like that. And Arthur doesn't have the power of the supreme deity in the Demon King. He doesn't have the power of the great fairy tree. He has the creator of the verse. Something's got to be up with him, and the fact that he can't make his own world. Like, what's up with that? That seems so strange. And obviously, this whole idea is very confusing. Someone like Percival, he's like, construct, maintain, what's going on? And Thetis is like, oh, right. It's better to show you for yourself. And they tap their staff against the ground, and suddenly the whole group is teleported above this massive canyon. And we see that the group sees something ominous. And while everyone's so high in the air and freaking out, I love how Donny just tackles nasiens and is like, oh no, height! And we see that Thetis is like, hey, look ahead, not down. And Percival, Donny, Anne, nasiens, Isolde, Tristan, Chion, Jade, Lance, and Gawain are all shocked. And speaking of Gawain, she's like, this is my uncle's. And we see that they float above this massive crater in the ground. And not only is there this massive crater in the ground, there's also a weird, like, cube-shaped thing taken out of a mountainside, another cube-shaped thing taken out of a mountainside, and there are other massive holes in the ground. And it's just a generally strange thought. And Meliodas goes on to explain that this is the reality of Camelot. This is the reason we fight Arthur Pendragon. And yeah, apparently Arthur literally is taking chunks out of the earth to make Camelot. But once again, why? Unfortunately, the more and more we learn about Arthur, the less and less I think he's actually going to be the final villain. Which sucks. I don't know. Am I the only one who wanted Arthur to be the final villain? I've even seen in the comments people are like, why are you saying Arthur's the final villain? What happened to Arthur? And like, I don't know. Seemed like Brody was going to be evil. I would prefer it if Brody was evil. But like, if he's struggling to make a world when we know on 4 separate occasions other beings with either equal to or generally lesser power than he has access to pooped out entire worlds, yeah, he's not fully in control. There's something definitely up with Arthur that's making him struggle this much and actually need him to steal parts of the existing planet to make another. Sums up. However, That's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments section down below. This chapter, it was pretty darn fire, don't get me wrong. We had the revelation of the true Percy platoon, which was great. We had the reuniting with all of our, I suppose, and now main cast, and a very, very important reveal about Camelot. And overall, that was pretty darn heat. However, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notification will miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month. You can exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off.